So sorry. Thank you for bearing with us for 5 minutes while we tried to figure this out.
We had a good chat about the book sale.
We
So
did.
we're going to have a new book sale. Yes? We
Yes.
did see
Yes.
that.
Yes,
Okay.
a bonus book sale, if you
Bonus.
will. So
I'm just going to go to my other calendar, scribble things in.
there you can hear the echo of me. Oh,
Amy, you look
sorry.
very, what's the word I want? Oh,
Okay.
Rembrandt-esque. You're in the shadow.
I
We're
know.
live on YouTube now, so you can call to order,
You said
Marguerite.
unsolved mysteries, but yeah, I've got a light right in front of me. I don't know what the problem is.
Well, okay, it's good.
Yep.
It's a contrast. Anyway, okay, it is no, it is, sorry, October 20th. It is 11:06, and I'm calling the Southborough Library Trustees meeting to order. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from September 15th. Does anyone have any corrections?
Nope.
Hearing none, I move that we accept the minutes as written. Do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, that was Janet and Landry, aye.
Yes, Donnie, I.
Cindy, I.
Maney, I.
All right, the motion passes, and thank you, Mariana, for that. All right, the next order of business is, too many pieces of paper. The, just
Director's
had it
report.
right here. Is this director's report? I'm guessing because I can't find where I put the,
Yes.
here it is on the bottom. Okay, the director's report, Ryan.
Okay. Uh, so also in the budget line, it should have added, I don't think I sent you guys the quarterly summation of the supplemental accounts. So that was included in your packet. Um, Everything is kind of where it should be, is what I can tell you guys. We are going to be using state aid funds to pay for the asphalt. So I'll talk more about the asphalt project when we get there because there's been some forward momentum on that project as well. But just there should be a Q1 report coming out soon. So I will get you guys that in an upcoming meeting as soon as I get it. We just don't have anything for the first quarter of the fiscal year because that's ending now. Yeah, so I just put in the note about Baker and Taylor. This doesn't affect you guys as much as it affects us here, but it's very sad. It's a long-term vendor. We had started using them for books more often. So we do have other book vendors that we use. Ingram is our primary one, so it's not really affecting a lot of operations because there are other people we can buy from. But hopefully this is not the start of a trend where we see long-term library suppliers going out of business because that would be unfortunate. It's also just, I guess it's fresh in my mind too, because we lost Plymouth Rocket, which had also been around for a bunch of years before this. Plus, our website vendor also went out of business too. So it just feels like the hits keep coming with this. So not a
For any,
great.
for anybody who's watching, can you just do a 2 sentence what happened with Baker and Taylor?
So they were going to be acquired by a company, and I guess they had not fully disclosed all of their debt. So that came out during the acquisition, and then the company that was going to buy them um, pulled back on the deal, and they were not able to recover, I guess, from that. It was so Publishers Weekly did a really great article about it. Unfortunately, most of the employees of Baker and Taylor were laid off as a result about a week after the deal fell through. And then they are still going to be sort of in operation. And I actually did just try to place a Hail Mary graphic novel order with them because you're still able to buy things that are in stock. They're just not getting any new stock. And obviously they can't fulfill any back orders or anything like that. So, that was probably our last Baker and Taylor order ever,
Oh,
which is
so
sad.
Ingram is now our main person.
Yeah, we were using them for books before. We primarily were using Baker and Taylor for multimedia and specifically DVDs because we weren't purchasing music CDs anymore. We just have what we have now.
Okay.
Um, Facilities, again, I'll talk more about the asphalt project because we have it as a separate agenda item. but I just wanted to publicly thank Melanie in the select board's office for all her help. She was, she's been talking to me not every day about this, it was every other day. So she was very helpful. We do need to have a contract with them, even though this is a small project and it's for a little bit of money. We still have to, I guess, contract with anybody if they're going to come and do work on the property. So that was a learning experience for this guy right here. So,
And that's
um,
removing, that is removing the diagonal path. Period.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I have some tickets to put in for facilities. I took some pictures on Saturday, but since they weren't there, I'm waiting until today to submit them. Um, the other thing that came up was that we had a patron who came in who was sort of in an active mental health crisis last week. Kim and Mariana handled the situation. They handled it very well. I think the safety training was fresh in Kim's mind, so she was able to help with that. The gentleman did request the help of the police department, so we helped him. One of the outcomes of that was he asked for a wheelchair, which we do not have in the building. So this has led to subsequent conversations about whether or not the library should have wheelchairs, whether or not public facilities do. The townhouse, for instance, does not have one. The senior center, I found out, has 6. They loan 3 out to people who need them. So Peg at the senior center has given me the name of a particular vendor. What I've learned is if we want to have a wheelchair here, we're going to have to buy it ourselves. So I'm going to come back to you, I think, with a proposal next month where we purchase a wheelchair out of state aid. So there's nothing for you to do now. I just wanted to make you aware of this so that I'm investigating the issue. And then I think what my plan is to start with one wheelchair and see how that goes and see if we need to have another one. We also talked about whether or not a wheelchair makes sense or if it's something that's like very much wheelchair-like, but it's more collapsible and easier to store, but would fulfill the same function. So I'll get back to you on that. I'm consulting also with the Board of Health on this, and Taylor has been very proactive and helpful. So,
Okay, two questions, the approximate cost, and where do you plan to store it?
those are both TBD, Marguerite. So I can't, this is
Yeah.
very early. I just started investigating this on Friday, but I wanted to let you know that it's very likely there's going to be a financial piece where I think what we're going to do is probably propose to purchase it out of state aid. We're in the director's report, David. So yeah, we're on the wheelchair one. Yeah.
Thank you.
But I'm happy to stop the director's report and just answer questions about the wheelchair piece for right now, for what I can. But to answer your question, Marguerite, I don't have answers. I will get you the cost, and then the number one storage area we're looking at right now is probably the Eaton room because we use that for storage for other areas.
Oh, Mary, what did you want to ask?
I was just going to say, not that my random life knowledge is any more than anyone else's here, but in terms of the wheelchair and whether it's like a hardy wheelchair, transport chairs are very convenient and they're designed to be folded up and stored and in and out of people's cars, and they're lightweight. And so for something like the purposes that Ryan is explaining, they're under $200.
Right. They're not
easily
very
folded up.
expensive.
You can get them at Walgreens or on Amazon. And it sounds like that might suit the needs for both storage and just the infrequent instances where something like this might need to be used at the library. Just
Thank
a thought.
That's
Yeah.
good information. I'm fine with the transport chair, so.
Yeah, that might make the most sense, to be honest, too. So I think we're going to look at a number of different options, but wheelchairs are very bulky and not always collapsible. And I do think that storing a collapsible one is going to be a lot easier than storing a non-collapsible one. I don't know where we're going to end up putting it. We just don't have a lot of space here, which you guys all know. So
I think a transport chair sounds like a good solution.
Mhm.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
basically to get people out to a vehicle outside. That's it.
yes, yeah,
Or if someone, if they get faint or they whatever. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
yeah. Um, yeah, and I just wanted to let you know, I had talked to Jay about providing a annual wireless usage report with the current vendor he has. He can only do reports every 30 days. So what I'm going to start doing is requesting the report at the end of the month. So he sent me the first one. We did miss a couple months, but what I'm going to do next year is just do an average of the wireless usage report. But it's a more accurate number than we've had in years, which is good. So I'm happy about that. But that's more a me thing than anything you guys need to know about. It's just something Jay is helping with. Um, Programs, thank you for everybody who helped with the book sale. I know David and Janet were here most of the day, as was Mary. Um, I know that the people who can't be here, like, couldn't be here that day, which is fine. There will be another book sale on November 8th. We're calling it a bonus book sale. If the weather holds, we will do it outside. So it will be similar to the Heritage Day book sale or other June book sales. The 8th is a Saturday. Kim will be here that day. I will not. So full disclosure. But we're hoping to get a lot of the amazing volunteers we had. I will also give Marianne a lot of credit. We had a lot of teen volunteers help out that morning, and they were extremely helpful, especially because just transporting the books up and down the stairs was, it was quite the task. So thank you again to all the people who came to the safety training. We had 12 staff members and 4 trustees, which I think was exactly the target of what I was hoping for. Because I know we weren't going to get everybody because the Monday afternoon is kind of difficult. I think everybody found it very valuable. I'm going to talk about an outcome of that later in the meeting when we get to the agenda item, so we can answer more specific questions about that. I don't think we need to do this training annually, but we may look at doing it every couple years. I don't think that's a bad idea to try to engage with the department and then refresh some of those skills. I did get feedback from all of the staff who attended. I think were glad that they attended. I think some of the people were just because we were describing specific security scenarios in the building. Some people were not, it wasn't a happy topic. Let me put it like that. So I think I did talk to some people who were a little upset is the wrong word, but who were, it wasn't like filling them with joy, those particular discussions, which I understand. So I think we're looking at how we can present the information in a constructive way for everybody next time. But I think the police did a fantastic job. And I didn't, when we get to it in the agenda, if other trustees who were at the training want to talk about it, I think that would be great if you want. The QPR training. So because of the thing I just mentioned with the wheelchair and the mental health incident, I was at a department head meeting last week. Sarah had offered to do a version of the QPR training that they do, which is like suicide prevention and awareness. But they talk about a number of different mental health responses that you can do if somebody's having, like for instance, a psychotic episode in a public building. So I'm going to coordinate that with her. I'd like to do kind of the same format that we did with the police department, where we shut down for an afternoon and then, just have staff. And I talked to Sarah about including all of you in the training like we did with the police. And Sarah's very supportive of that idea. We're just starting a new Monday afternoon reading buddies program where we have older kids read to younger kids. So that program is going to stop in January. So January is going to be kind of our target to do something like this. Because I don't want to disrupt that program for the training, if that's okay with all of you. That also just gives us space to kind of plan it out a little bit too, and then notify the public, which I think would be good. So I'll keep you posted in the meetings leading up to it. This was something I kind of took on, but we tried to do a Mahjong interest group. We had 4 players. There's another one this Friday. I'll keep you posted on that. We probably will be asking our friends group if they can help us purchase a Mahjong tile and board set. so that we can have one at the library. Out of the 4 attendees who came, 3 of them brought their own sets. So that was good because we had asked people to bring their own if they came. And you need exactly 4 people to play. So the people got to play pretty much the whole time, which I think was really great. So some of them did request an evening session, which was more difficult for us to coordinate. But what I'm telling Mahjong players is that we're doing an adult board game night that Mariana is coordinating. The Mahjong players want to come to that. We'll create a space for them on those evenings. So that's just once a month, but it's better than 0 times a month. So we'll see if we can add potentially an evening session. I don't want to initially add it just after 4 people came to the first one. I think we're going to try it on Friday afternoons for right now and see how it goes. And then Jen Hansen's on exhibit at the library again. I have not done a post about it yet, but she has watercolors, which is a different type of art than I think we've had in the past. So it's worth a perusal if you guys are in the building at any point soon. They're really beautiful. Very quick website. Lot, as you can imagine, the behind the scenes was less fun, and I was very hopeful that we wouldn't be down at all, and we were down for like a 24-hour period, I think from a Tuesday to a Wednesday, while we were trying to resolve the DNS switch. There is a link that isn't just the southberlib.org. There's like a dedicated link from the CW Mars catalog. But I really have to commend Libby in particular. She did a lot of work to get this live at the time that we needed to. I'll also say I put a lot of time and effort into it and trying to coordinate it too. So I'll toot my own horn a little bit, but we've gotten a pretty overall positive response to the website. And if you guys haven't been to check it out, I would encourage you to go. And, again, send me any of your feedback one-on-one. But we haven't gotten any complaints, which is really great. There was a young lady who was telling me she had trouble accessing it over the weekend, and she was trying to do it from an old Apple computer. So I sent her the alternate link, and then she said she was able to get on everything fine. So that's the only report I've heard of a problem. And we found a way for her to access it anyway. So what I'm looking for you is if there's any objections, in addition to the diaper drive, which we've extended through the end of December, is if we could start collecting coats as well. WAMS is also doing an active coat drive. They are having trouble getting donations of coats. We have plastic bins left over from the donation area for the book sale. So our intention is to use one of those donation bins just to collect the coats. But I don't know if you think coats is overkill. Yeah, I'm looking for feedback, Janet.
So what I can't remember is who it is that does, somebody in town does coat sale now. I don't know whether it's Youth and Family Services or one of the churches. So, I mean, I do have a prejudice towards taking care of local families through the
Yeah.
library versus Worcester, but maybe you could ask Sarah Casals or something. If
Okay,
it's there.
I'll reach out to her and just double check to see
Yeah.
any other active coat drives. We don't want to be in competition.
No, I mean, it's the Southborough Library, so I'd rather
Yeah.
take care of local fundraisers and then, whatever. Anybody else has feelings about it? I could be wrong.
It's a
Okay.
good way to get rid of your children's coats that they've outgrown. It's wonderful for that. So I encourage having a coat drive that we publicize that's going on somewhere.
Yeah. I know it's done in Southborough. I can't remember who does it. Might be St. Matthews or something.
We have another
Okay.
member. We have another board member here.
Future board member.
Future board.
What?
Oh,
So I
Mandy's
will.
back.
Yeah, I'll double check that. If they have no objections, Janet, are you okay if we put
Yeah.
our donation bin out as well? Okay, I just want to make sure. And we're happy to also publicize if the churches are doing anything with local drives or local
Yeah.
donations, we can put that on our community board. So maybe that's a good way for me to reach out to people because I can try to reach out to the contact at St. Matthews. And if they're doing anything, we can put it up on our
Because
community
it
board.
might be, especially if it's youth and family services, the library is such a great location for
Yeah.
people. So, if one of our local agencies would really love to use the library, then my preference would be for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know that we publicized stuff about the Winter Wishes program for youth and family. So, um, we'll probably continue doing that. But I don't I'm unfamiliar if Youth and Family does a dedicated coat drive. It might be one of the local parishes. So
It could be
I'll
Rotary, could
investigate
be,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's youth and family, but they may know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might know
Oh,
about
I'm
it.
sure they'd know who to refer to people to and stuff. Yeah.
I agree, and because there's so much traffic in the library, I
I
think it's a
know.
good drop-off place
It's a
for
great one.
somebody.
I'm gonna look at my old emails and see if I can come up with something.
Okay. And then just I wanted to make a plug for the Friends Sock fundraiser because it won't be going on the next time the trustees meet. So if you're looking for a great holiday gift, there's two different styles of socks that the Friends are selling as a fundraiser. One of them is a dress sock that's like uh, all sizes, and then one is you have to pick your size for a crew sock option. I can tell you right now in the lead for the staff, the crew sock is a much more exciting option for them. So that one's currently in the lead. So, but that's it for the director's report.
Okay, good. Anyone have any more feedback on that? Nope, we're good. All right, how about the expense report, Ryan? Where are we?
Again, I've been removing the educational supplies line so that we can get kind of an accurate picture. So this is with educational supplies through the end of December. Sorry, December. I'm thinking the diapers. Sorry, the end of September, right? That's a big difference. So that's kind of where we are with the totals right now.
Any questions? Nope.
I'd just
Okay.
like to say, as I've said before, that professional development, if there's room in the budget to up that as a budget item and therefore have more money to present opportunities for our staff, that I think we should do that.
That's a great segue because he's about to bring us to the new budget. I think very shortly. So if you guys are ready to move on from the expense report, we can go to that.
Well, that's a good segue, and I agree with David wholeheartedly that it's a good place to put an investment in the staff to have more professional development. I know it means that sometimes you have to have people covering because someone's out, but I think it's really good for the staff. So, do you want to go to the
Yeah,
budget discussion, or do you want to go to asphalt? I leave it open to the board. Asphalt or budget?
Yeah, if you don't mind jumping, maybe because we're on expenses right now, maybe the
Yep.
budget makes more
All right.
sense to talk
Okay, so we'll
about.
move to that.
A lot of these, you're gonna love this meeting because a lot of these are quick updates. So the department heads had a meeting last week. So I went to that where we did have a discussion about the preliminary budget. So as many of you probably can guess, the financial situation for Massachusetts for the next year is okay, right? The year we're in now and sort of through the rest of this fiscal year. Moving forward in future budget cycles and future fiscal years, like what we're planning now, it is more uncertain financially where the state is going to be and where our local municipality will be as well. So one of the things we were encouraged to do was to not come up with any big new budget initiatives unless they were absolutely necessary. That said, I think when we were talking about this last month, sort of the consensus I got from the board was to increase the amount that we have in professional development and in programming. So I'm going to look at those two line items in particular. Our salaries always adjust automatically because the staff get raises. And then concurrently, we have to up our materials budget to make sure that it's meeting the state requirement for a town our size, right, of over 10,000. So I'll have to make sure that those things all balance. I think it's 16% of the overall budget is where the educational supplies have to be. So sort of with those caveats in mind, that is how I'm going to construct the initial budget this year as soon as I get the documents from the finance director. Just to update all of you, those documents have not been sent out yet. And I don't believe the personnel board has set a increase rate for SAP employees. So both of those things kind of need to happen before we see a preliminary budget. Brian sometimes does a placeholder amount for the SAP rate so we can start getting stuff together so that I can send to like you, for instance, or other department heads can send to their boards. So I'll keep you posted on that. But that's kind of where we're at with the budget now. Um, the the um, the subscriptions line item, which includes it includes database costs, electronic resources. That's what I was trying to say. So that is going to shift a little bit, but we were going to save money by sort of subscribing to things that nobody was using, but we have to integrate now this year in the Northborough and school joint Gale resources that got cut from the state. So a lot of the money we were going to save, just to warn you guys, we spent it on on our contribution to the Gale resources. So what I'm going to try to do is budget based on what our contribution was this year, which we were supplemented with Southborough Community Fund grants. They agreed to fund the first year, but they're not going to give us ongoing support for a operational cost. So we need to integrate that into the budget next year. So
How
that's
much are we-
another just thing I wanted to point out.
How much are we talking for that?
That was just under $3,000 was our contribution.
Right.
So we were paying, just to give you an idea, about 1,800 for Ancestry, and that's one of the resources that dropped. And then there's a couple smaller ones, like I think it was like 225 for the cooking ones, both of them, and then we're paying like 200, 250 for the resume and the legal document. And the legal document one, there's a equivalent Gale resource that we have access to now as part of the shift, because they're not just for kids, they're like also for adult usage as well. So a lot of the savings again we spent on doing the scale thing. So I was going to be like, hey, that line item is going down, but it's not.
Yeah, but
But I'll
it
construct.
sounds
I'll have a list,
valuable.
yeah, of how everything
It sounds
shakes out.
very
Sorry.
valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think it's good that we are offering it, and that I think our goal is to continue to offer it with Northborough if they want to do that.
So do you think with the way that library funding is sort of up in the air, there'll be more regionalization of library services like that? Is that a good way to investigate, given the uncertain funding situation we find ourselves in?
Well, I think that's why we want to budget for the Gale resources next year with Northborough. There is a current version of the federal budget where IMLS is restored, but that doesn't mean it will be restored. I think that the administration can still obstruct that. So I can't answer that question. I just don't know. And then even if IMLS is restored, we don't know what the funding situation is going to be. So it's very unlikely that the database funding is going to be restored. If anything, I think the MBLC is more worried about additional cuts moving forward, because there's still some statewide databases that they're offering, though they may have to reduce that number as they continue to go. So again, we'll kind of engage with Northborough and see what are the most utilized resources for the students. And then, hopefully I won't be coming back to you guys asking for more money for this stuff, but I might. I can't answer that question right now. What we're gonna do is budget for what we what we decided to get this year so that we can continue offering it next year. And then it's good that we're paying for it because then we know that it will be offered again versus getting the money from other entities. Because then if funding gets disrupted, that's why we lost them in the first place. That makes sense. So
It sounds good that you're keeping one ear open to possibilities in the future with that. Sounds like to me.
I can tell you that in my work as a board member on the Central Mass Library Advocates, we are starting the legislative breakfast season early. And I know that we're probably not going to be a venue to host one, only because we know that Westboro is planning to do one in their temporary space. And then I know there was a big one in Worcester. I believe I know David has gone with me in the past to that one, but I can share with you, MLA will have an area on their website with all legislative breakfasts. But that's a good way to interface with legislators on library funding. And while most of the people are kind of supportive of library funding, this is a year where Massachusetts is really going to tighten their belt. So my plug for going to these things and interfacing with elected officials, it's more important this year because I think they need to hear it from all of us that library funding is really important because it's one of the things that's being targeted.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, good. Any other questions? No? All right. Okay, so no other budget questions? Thank you, Ryan. Oh, Mary.
Mary had a question.
Sorry, it's not a question. I know my fellow trustees know this, but Ryan's really fabulous. And I had a couple random questions when I was dropping off the the latest round of library card goodie bags. I did that on Saturday, and our fabulous director spent like over an hour with me answering my questions just so I could get my head around different pots of money, different budget things directly related to everything he's been talking about right now with federal and state freezes. So I just wanted to underscore that had happened behind the scenes. It's nothing you don't know, but I think it's important to sing his praises for how eloquently and knowledgeably, no, I don't know, whatever he speaks about this. So clearly I'm not. Yes.
Thank you for the new card bags. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's really good.
Are those for children or?
Yeah, so the Friends decided about 2 years ago that it would be really fun to offer patrons a little bit of like celebratory fanfare when the kids come and are eligible for their new library cards. So anybody who's 3 or over gets to come in and sign up for their very own card, which is its own reward. That said, I remember at least when Maisie was that age, like I had marked the calendar because it was also something to do with a 3-year-old on her birthday and made it like a big deal myself. And I remember how fun it was for her. And I thought this was an area that the Friends could like really encourage and enable like excitement and celebration and empowerment about getting your own card and reading. So they're just little bags that have like a pencil sharpener, a library bookmark, some stickers, just some library related things, but to say congratulations on getting your own card. And we're so proud of you for continuing to read.
Oh, great. It's a nice idea. Very nice.
Yeah,
it's been extremely popular and kids do tell their friends. That's what we've learned. So it's encouraged kids to get cards.
But
My
I
favorite,
should mention that my husband finally signed up for his own card last summer and he did not get a bag. He also went in, he has a different last name. So he went in as the like secret shopper and Ryan helped him sign up and he didn't tell Ryan who he was. Every place else Charlie goes in town, they're like, how come your number leads to Janet Maney? But the library did not do that, and he got nice service, and he came home raving about Ryan, and he didn't feel like a dummy and all that stuff. So that was good.
That's great.
Well, I encourage all husbands to get library cards if they haven't, and and wives in that instance. Many of them do. If anybody needs a special library goodie because they got a card and didn't get
He
one,
did not
and
get a bag.
Oh,
they're
grown-up
older,
swag,
I'm
right, yeah.
happy to give them a more grown-up prize because I do have a limited supply of those in my office. So, to answer your question from before, Marguerite, just to close the gap on this, as far as regionalizing certain library services or certain library funding, I mean, with databases, I don't know. I can tell you that, like with our Creative Bug subscription, CW Mars negotiated this discount, which took hundreds of dollars off of our subscription cost. I know that Jeanette Lundgren, who's the executive director, she's actively trying to work on additional partnerships that would reduce costs. But you know, vendors often don't. They're sometimes less receptive to conversations where they're going to jointly be getting less money, right? But I think the idea was more libraries signed up and subscribed to Creative Bug. So overall, it worked out for that particular vendor. So we're looking for circumstances like that. I think any opportunities to try to reduce costs and share resources, we are very open to working with our area neighbors and with our consortia on. So.
Sounds great. And it's sort of new territory. All right, so having discussed, how about if we move on to the removal of the asphalt pathway?
Mhm.
Okay, so there's now going to be a contract that I need you to sign, Marguerite. I believe we're in the final stages of it. The date that we have scheduled for removal as of 10 o'clock this morning was set for October 30th. So that's a Thursday. So that is when the work crew will be on site and then they will remove the pathway. They will not be reseeding the lawn. We're going to have to talk with DPW about doing that.
I wonder if there's another pathway under that pathway. Is that a second asphalting?
I don't, I know that there was some repair work by the tree, but I don't believe it was, that it was, I keep calling it concrete too. It's asphalt. I was corrected. I think I called it concrete in the last agenda item. So this shows you what I know. But I don't believe it's been concreted multiple times. I think part of the reason that there was so much wear and tear was because it was only kind of put in, and then it wasn't updated a lot. And then when the tree root system started disrupting it, that's
Right.
when they tried to like repair it with some repair stuff.
So we think the tree will be happy to have it gone. I just hope nobody starts cutting across the grass at that point, but they've got a sidewalk there, so.
It's, I mean, we walk on the grass to put up the story walk on the other side of the property too. And then when people use the picnic bench or the other seating area, they're like a little bit walking on the grass. So I think it's okay for people to walk on the grass some of the time. I'll say that, but
Lawn.
I don't think it's going to be like regular foot traffic. We don't have a lot of people who walk to the library, to be perfectly honest. And honestly, it might reduce the amount of leftover dog poop. We have a new fun person who's bringing their dog here. They're bagging the poop and then leaving the poop bags just on the property.
Is that the
And I saw
pink
them do
poop
it at the
bags?
townhouse.
Is that the pink
Yeah.
poop bags?
So,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you,
yeah.
resident, whoever you are, right?
Yeah, so we would, if any resident is watching this, we would appreciate it if you would stop doing that. I'll just make a little public service announcement because guess who picks up those bags and throws them away? I'll give you 2 hints, everybody. Yeah. So, but yeah, so that's where we're at with that. I need Marguerite to sign the contract. I think Carla has to sign it. There's like a couple of signatures I need, so we're gonna go around, but we needed a date of when everything was going to be wrapped up. That was part of the contract terms. So I think we're going to put the 31st just in case it goes over one day and they need additional time.
All right.
But this should all be wrapped up in half a day. That's what I've been told. So there will be a lot of work crews on that Thursday, just full disclosure, full warning. But it's not the day we're having a blood drive because I wouldn't want to do that at the same time.
Okay,
So,
and which
Is
budget?
it Halloween or is it the day
Yeah.
before
The day
Halloween?
before.
it's the day before Halloween, yeah.
Um, which funding source is paying for it?
If funny story, you voted. I checked in the minutes
Yes,
last time
so
because I
that
just
is, I know,
reread
I'm
them.
just, it's like
So
the,
it's not out of a line item. We're funding this
it's
out
out
of
of
state
state aid.
aid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
So we did have to let the town know that we had the money to do it and where it's coming from. So it's
Good.
coming out of library state aid, this full. Unless there's any objections to that, speak now, because we haven't gotten a bill yet and the work hasn't been completed. But you voted for state aid, and I think that
Right.
that's a good use of state aid funds.
Yes, agreed. All right. Any other input on that? No? Okay. I see Maisie in the back again. She moves very quickly. Okay, library disaster / emergency plan. Ryan, where are we on that?
Yeah, so this is a new agenda item. This is something that was an outcome of the police training, but one of the things that the police department representatives had suggested was doing our own sort of emergency plan. So I'm in the beginning stages of putting this together. Like, just as a couple examples, one of them will be like, where do we keep spare keys to certain things? Where are appropriate places to barricade yourself in the library if there is a active security threat? So, a little confusingly, I'm going to work in this document. I will let you know when I've completed the document, but because of security, I won't be sending this out to you as a group, and I won't you're not reviewing it or approving it, because if we did do that, it becomes a public document, and then any interested party could review our security plan. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing I've talked to the police department about. I will have a copy once it's completed in my office that you are welcome to come and review and read on a one-on-one basis, but that's how we're going to do it. It's going to live in a binder in all the different service areas that's accessible just to the staff. So it's going to be in staff only places. I think upstairs it's either going to be in the staff room or more likely my office. And then what we're going to do is a periodic review with all of the staff members. And that's going to be an in particular outcome of evening shifts with part-time people, because they're the people that I think won't, they're not in a disaster mode mindset when they're here for 3 hours a week in the evening, right? And then I think on Saturdays, our plan is to do some potential drills, which sounds very militant, and I promise you it won't be. It's mainly like the plan references this particular area. This is where this area is. The plan talks about where the panic buttons are. This is where we're showing you, like physically where they are. And that's for people who are more visual learners, will be able to recognize, like on a we're taking you through the plan um, on a one-on-one basis. So I'll be doing most of those. Kim has offered to assist. Um, and I just, yeah, I mean, this is kind of overdue. I think we should have had one of these a long time ago, but I think a lot of it has been how do we structure it? It's been very nice to have the police department to bounce ideas off of and to offer their help. They were a lot more proactive, I have to say, after the training about working with me and communicating with me about this than they have ever previously. So that was very nice. And I really have to thank Officer Whalen and Lieutenant McCarthy on their dedication and, follow through. So that's kind of where we're at now. It's going to take me a little while to put it together again, because I'm going to be reviewing it a lot with the police department, but I'll keep you posted if that's okay.
That's great. That's a good partnership on that. The police department's really great
Yeah.
with building safety, so that's good. Thank you for doing that. Okay, so where are we? Oh, all right, we're up to public comment.
There's no members of the public here.
All right, that's easy.
Okay.
Any other trustees wish to comment on any matters at all, aside
I
from
have other
setting
business.
other business?
Other business?
Yes.
Should we go to that?
Yes.
Okay. Have we heard anything back on the preservation restriction? Our feedback to John?
Yes,
Okay.
that's a great question, Janet. And
I
that
ended
probably
up
should have been on
speaking
the
to John and
agenda.
he said, anything you guys want to put on as corrections, whatever, he will just include and send to the attorney. It's, his usual charming, accommodating self.
Okay. So yes, so there were 4 points I sent to him, okay, that were results of what you guys did. So I'm gonna go try not to disinclude David from the camera. So the first was adding the facade of to the one-story Georgian classic revival sentence. There was no objections to that. In
Okay.
the second one, there was a suggestion to include the term town funds. I
Or to
have a
change
response.
CPC from
Yeah.
Mhm.
to town funds.
So I have a response.
Yes.
According to the reviewer, the wording in item 2 is required because we are granting CPA funds. We shouldn't change it to town funds here because CPA money has already been awarded and set aside. If the town votes to get rid of CPA in the future, they are still subject to the restrictions of the funding source. Therefore, they recommend keeping the term CPA funding.
Okay. I thought it just sounded like it limited that that's the only what thing we could use to make changes in the future, you know?
I agree with you, Janet, but that was the response we got from the attorney.
Okay.
I'm just the messenger.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so what's number 3?
number 3 was removing archaeological activities. There was on page 9, section 29. That was a large part of your discussion, if you recall that day, was that particular, there was an entire section called archaeological activities. Regarding item number 3, they said we can delete this language, but it's possible that the state may add it back during their review of the preservation restriction. So I think um, the number 4 was actually the same. There was a section that referred to the grounds. So it was recommended that we remove that from the final PR. So I think section 4 and number 3 were kind of the same thing. There were things we wanted removed because we didn't feel they were relevant to something that was on the building. I think the response from the attorney was the state may come back and say that these are boilerplate things that need to be in the restriction. So that's where we're at with it, Janet. I haven't responded since he sent me the language there, but I was assuming they were just going to put together the revised restriction and send it in.
And worst case, we'll end up with a waiver, which I think is not that hard to obtain if you.
I don't know. I wouldn't feel comfortable signing something that said that they had control over what we did on the grounds.
I think it's not complete control. I think it has to do with things like putting up a telephone pole or a sign.
Oh no, they talked about archaeological.
But that's allowing a dig, right?
Yeah, sounds like it to me.
Well, we've already had one.
Yeah, but if we want what the wording said is that if we wanted to do that, we had to get their approval.
Which part are you, which part of the grounds for the archaeology are you concerned
They
with?
talked about just in general the grounds. And that doesn't seem to have anything to do with the facade of the building to me.
I
Why?
think it's boilerplate in the restriction, and it's probably left over from a lot of other restrictions they've done. So I see your point.
Yeah. I just don't think
But
we should
I
hand
spoke
over
with,
any control for, that we don't
we'll
have to.
see. I guess the issue is request to have those removed, and if the state comes back and says you can't do that, then there it is. I
Yeah,
can't.
so
I think it's a
the only
roadblock to the whole
recourse would
thing,
be
but
the yeah
whatever.
the recourse would be, Janet, where if you didn't feel comfortable and a majority of the board didn't feel comfortable with what they're coming back and saying the state is requiring in the restriction, then we're back at that sort of nuclear option I was talking about before, which is we have to go back to town meeting. We have to explain all of this to a town meeting audience, and then we have to have a majority vote from a town meeting to not have a restriction placed on the building again. So that
Okay.
would be the recourse. So it depends on how far we want to go. I will echo Janet's concerns. If we use CPA money specifically for a exterior building project, I mean, there was discussion about regulating the inside of the building, part of the inside of the building, the grounds of the building. I think the scope of some of these restrictions does try to do too much versus really what the money paid for, which
I'm
is
going to
supposed to be the
suggest that John
intention.
come in and talk to us about this.
I don't know that John is just passing on our
He's
concerns.
the
It's the
messenger, right?
attorneys that came back.
I know. I don't have a problem with those restrictions being in there, but I can't speak for the other four members of the board, so.
Okay. Well, we'll get back the final thing and we'll read it and we'll vote.
Yep. Note to self, next time you do a warrant article about CPA funding and preservation restrictions, think very carefully about what you are putting into your warrant article.
Oh, yeah,
Because this has
definitely.
been a
But
huge,
I'm sorry I was negligent, Janet, in not putting this on the agenda and then not
Okay.
bringing it up again. You're right, this is a pending issue, and I will add this to November's meeting so that we can get um we can sort of revisit it. And I will get back to John now. I will just say, you know, can we get a revised version with the feedback so that the trustees can take another look at it.
well, do we need John to talk to us to explain? The townhouse is getting the same restriction.
To be honest, Marguerite, I don't think having John here is going to
Sorry.
No.
be helpful. At this point, he's really just being the intermediary between the our legal team
Okay,
and
because I've
they're
talked to
working
him
with
and
the
I've talked to him
preservation.
at
Yeah.
length about this. Okay, so the
So,
townhouse restriction is gonna have 3 and 4 in it, to the
Okay.
best of my knowledge, so,
Good for them.
yeah,
I think at this
exactly.
point, we just
Well,
wait
they've
for them
got
to give
rose
us.
bushes going in, that's the
Yeah, I think at
thing.
this point, we've given our feedback. They are going to
Yep,
come back with the final thing. So why don't we wait for the final thing?
okay, that sounds good, run it by. All right,
okay.
and there it is. Okay, so next meeting date,
I have one more.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Parking lot
Parking lots on hold.
for, okay, we wrote to them and Bill wrote back and said we had to have a certain thing that I have never heard of before.
Wait,
It's
you
some
wrote
kind
to
of a
who?
bid,
You wrote to
Bill
who?
Cundiff.
Okay,
And he came back to us and said we were asking for his help in putting together a request that we would put in for funding for design. And he came back with terms I've never heard of before. And maybe that's just a different label for something we're familiar with, but I didn't get it and I didn't know what the next step was.
well, that's a Jane, well, it isn't a Jane thing, it's now wide open to the whole group. I
Yeah.
think one, it can't, nothing can happen until the spring because you don't pave in the fall, apparently. That's my understanding.
Oh yeah, we're way before that. We're not talking
Mhm.
about actual paving. We're talking about getting a design to say what the paving should include, which would take a design that would review the current drainage, making sure that that's okay and doesn't get affected, seeing if it needed to be repaired in any way. Um, you
Yes,
know,
I remember that email and I don't have it in front of me and I
yeah,
can look it up, but I think, can we, let's all look at those emails and then talk about it with some
yeah,
homework next
okay,
time. How's
that's
that?
fine. Yep.
Because I
Yeah,
think,
I mean, I'm sorry, Janet. I was under the impression that we had sort of like put this on pause for right now, that that's where we landed with the parking lot, is that we weren't going to pursue anything at the moment, that we're focused on the asphalt removal right now. And then we were going to potentially look at working I don't know. I mean, I had reached out to a number of vendors to try to get quotes about the asphalt removal, and I didn't hear back from any of them. I
Yeah.
had asked them also they were the ones DPW recommended, where I had looked at getting quotes for the parking lot, and I also didn't hear back from any of the
Yeah.
vendors.
I
So,
don't think we're even close to looking for an actual vendor.
okay.
We need somebody technically competent to review what needs to be done out there because there is drainage under there.
sure is.
And I also, one of the things I asked for is like somebody that could review Well, Jason said he thought part of this current septic system could actually be put under the pavement. Not all of it, probably not the leaching field, but that, so I wanted to have that looked at as well. Like let's look at all the things that we could get done in this one thing before we just pave over it and have to dig it up 3 years
Well, so
later.
this is a question, scope of the work, because at the senior center, the leaching field is under their parking lot.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
And
that's what we need,
so
somebody
we need to
technical.
think about that because we
Yeah.
have that giant mound,
Right,
right?
exactly. That's why I
Which,
wanted that looked at as well. Like,
yes,
let's roll
exactly. And
roll everything into the view of this thing versus just paving it over and in
exactly.
4 years saying, yeah, that was stupid.
Cosmetic, exactly. And we
Crazy.
also have a berm of dying cherry trees there. So
Hmm.
another one is on its last branches. So yes, Janet, thank you, because I think we need to look at the whole backside of the library at this
Yeah,
point.
definitely. And I think it's going to be years. Plus, when we talked to Jason, he said sometimes if you do get a paving contract, when you're at that point, they can roll it together with other things the town is getting done and it gets cheaper.
Yep.
But we're not anywhere near knowing what we want done. We need somebody technical to look at it and recommend. You could do this, this, or this.
Yes. So can I suggest that it's on the agenda for our next meeting, which will probably be November 10th. I don't know for sure. We'll see. But
I
the other
can't.
part of it, we can all look at the bill emails and come up with questions. And
Yeah.
this is the first time I've thought of moving the giant septic pump. One of the problems with
Just when
that
we
is,
went out there and we were standing in the driveway looking around and
yeah.
saying, "Oh, yeah, what about that thing?"
Well, the thing is, the septic on the basement floor of the library needs to get pumped uphill to get to that thing.
Yeah.
So and one of the reasons that the plumbing is eternally failing in those two is that it needs to get pumped up. I mean, it's like maybe we could get it so it's under a driveway and
Well, it's
it's not
also
such a struggle.
someday if we want to do an addition, I mean, that's a
Hmm.
great spot to do it if we
Hmm.
can. So,
Yes, agreed. That's good. I think that would always be my wish, to get rid of that
yeah,
mound.
Yeah, so it's
right.
really putting together a proposal for an engineering study of
Exactly.
the back,
Yeah.
including any drainage enhancements. And then also,
Well,
I think it ends up
draining
being
and
kind of
maintenance
a,
of the current ones, like are the current ones still working? Do they need anything?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the other question was, someone had said, did Karen do plans for those drains being piped into the culvert under 85 going north-south? And I still don't have an answer to that. She did
Was
it.
it
She
on the
put them
maintenance
in.
schedule? Yeah.
Yep, exactly. But that, I don't know if there's actually a drawing of what that was. I seem to remember seeing it in my head, an engineering design with the lines running from those drains into the 85, but I have to do homework before the next meeting, obviously.
okay, I'll make sure it's on the agenda for
Okay.
next time.
And do you want me to dig out that email from Cundiff that he responded, Ryan, and send that to you?
No, because I think I have it. I just,
You should, but I think it would just went to Jane and Ryan and I and
And I think I saw part of it.
Jason.
Maybe it could be distributed to the whole board, so we'll all be on the same page with that.
Yeah.
the last one he sent me was something about the asphalt
The path,
contract
the path,
provisions.
the path.
Yeah, it was about the path because we were
Yeah.
including him in those.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about he also sent the plans to Marguerite, but I don't think it was what we were looking for
Okay.
as far as the piping. Um,
Yeah. No, there's another thing. And you
That was
referred that what we
that
needed
was,
wasn't an engineering study, it was a what? And it was a
yeah, I
term
know. I
I'd never
remember
heard
reading
of.
that too. And the plans that he sent to me were for the ones that were the Main Street project before the library's flood.
Yeah.
So
No,
it
this
didn't
is a
have
separate thing.
any maintenance for the library water system at all.
Hmm.
That came in later. And I think I was talking to either him or John Parent and saying, is there a design anywhere of what Karen actually did?
yeah, I'm
And
going through my emails with him, Janet,
so
and
far I have not
apologies.
seen.
I actually don't know what you're referring to, so I
I
don't
remember
even
it though, Ryan. I remember it.
um
There was a term.
listen, fully believe you, Marguerite, fully believe Janet. I just don't know where this is.
We're not
Um,
dreaming this. So let's If everybody can make sure that Ryan gets every piece of the emails from Bill, and then Ryan, can you distribute them to us?
He
So
was
we're
definitely sending me everything. I was
yes,
CC'd on everything. I just
yes.
don't, I'm trying to find this. So I guess yes, Janet, to answer your question, yes, re-forward me that when you find
Okay,
it so
sure.
that I can make sure that it wasn't. It was also with that .gov switch over. There was some funky stuff going on with email for a couple weeks.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that it was something that I got and I read. To be
Yeah.
honest, I think I got everything, but it doesn't hurt to double check.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm again, apologies to Janet for not having this on the agenda. I've been focused on the asphalt removal because I know we were going to do that, but
Right.
there are only X number of meetings if we want to put in engineering study money. I mean, I don't know if we're talking about putting in engineering study money for the next Springtown meeting or potentially the one after that. Like
I think we have to know.
my under, yeah,
I
my
just think,
understanding was we're not in a big rush to get repaving done because there was additional
Oh,
life
no.
of the parking lot, but nothing stops us
But
from
there's-
moving forward.
Right, there's a lot
Yeah.
of steps that we might as well move forward
start
with.
taking,
Yeah.
right, exactly. All right, so if everyone on the board could receive a CC of everything having to do with Bill and the parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
that would be very helpful. And any other input from the board
Nope.
on this?
Oh, I just had a call to all of you, and I'll send this to Jane as well. The Friends of the Library are going to be doing a rescheduled pumpkin walk because Rotary
that's right.
canceled the event. So that's
Oh.
going to be on Sunday evening. People are going to drop off their pumpkins anytime before 6 o'clock. But Beth Mello is going to be out. I think doing like diaper collections and potentially some of the coats if anybody wants to do that. Um, from 6 to 8 when the pumpkin walk is going on. I don't know if she's going to have anything to distribute, but we're trying to find volunteers who would help her out. So if you wanted to come for like a half an hour, you just want to stop by and say hi. I don't think she has any friends who are available that night who can assist. So I told her I'd mention it to all of you because you've
Okay.
been so gracious about helping out with the book sale. But it might be good to interface with some of the public and talk about the library. I can't be there that night. Otherwise, I'd be with her.
Okay,
So I told her Sunday's like the one day I can't do.
6
So,
p.m. on this Sunday?
Yeah.
yeah.
I can go for a bit. I was going to go
Okay.
anyway. I usually meet up with Kathy Cook then.
Okay. But no pressure. I mean, that's if you have time, Janet, you know.
Yeah.
And then you could just stop by and say hi too. I think she's just looking for some support, if that makes sense. So that was my last thing though.
Okay.
I'm sorry
Oh,
to put that
good.
on the end.
Okay, any other business?
The next meeting.
Yes, I think what we had on the calendar, which is November 10th.
Yeah, that's still good.
I can't do that one.
Okay,
Can't do that one either, unfortunately.
okay, 2 down. What are our options then?
You want to do the 17th?
That's fine with me.
Yep, fine with me.
Volunteer breakfast is that morning, but it's over at 9:30.
The 17th, that's what it is? Oh, okay. They send that out so much in advance.
I thought it was on the 3rd.
It's on the 3rd.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
thank you,
right.
thank you. Yes, yes, yes. It was originally 17th. I have a question mark.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're
Okay, so
welcome.
it's the 3rd.
What time
Thank you.
does that go? Like till 9:30 or
It's
something?
7:30 to 9:30.
Yeah.
Okay, so library BOT on the 17th, 11 a.m. Zoom. Is that good?
Right.
Hopefully Jane can go.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Do I have a motion
Good.
to adjourn?
I motion.
Okay,
Second.
do I have a second? Okay, that's Janet and Amy, right?
Enthusiastically.
Done. Okay, Landry, aye.
Yes, Donnie, I.
Cindy, I.
Mania.
Heckberg guy, and I apologize again for fouling up the beginning of the meeting.
No
Hey,
problem.
there was no evil intention there at all. All is forgiven, really.
Thank you.
It happens
Apology.
for the
That's
best
right.
of us. All right, goodbye,
Oh,
everyone. Have a good
Everybody.
week.
yeah.
You too.